Did you know that 54% of people enrolled in Medicare are covered under Part C Advantage plans? But these plans could be very polarizing for people turning 65. Hi, I'm Larry Goist, owner of LMS Insurance Group, where we help seniors navigate the Medicare Maze. So in today's short video, I'm explaining to you guys why the majority of people on Medicare opt for Part C Medicare Advantage plans. And I'm going to go over three real basic topics today. So number one, I'm going to break down the statistics on how people on Medicare are covered. Number two, I'm going to explain to you why only 7% of people are still enrolled in original Medicare with nothing else. And then lastly, I'm going to tell you why twice as many people opt for Part C than they do Medigap plans. And that's all coming up next. Hey, before I dive in, don't forget to like our channel. Definitely subscribe if you find this helpful. I really appreciate you doing that. Okay, guys, so before I get going, I want a preface of why exactly this video is so important. And to me, it's that when I do webinars or seminars for people turning 65, or even my YouTube videos, there's always one person in the group that demonizes Part C Advantage plans. And I think it's important to explain why so many people have Advantage plans. And it's not that I like Advantage plans more than Medigap plans, or that I think it's better coverage, but there's a very simple reason of why so many people opt for these plans. And the people that demonize this coverage, they are completely overlooking that fact. Okay, so how do people enrolled in Medicare actually obtain their coverage? So the most recent data was actually published in 2024, and this was from the Kaiser Family Foundation, okay, where they found that 54% of people enrolled in Medicare have Part C Advantage plans. Okay, now the next largest group of coverage was that had Medigap coverage. So Medigap plans are called Plan G, Plan F, Plan N, and they found that 21% of people currently have Medigap coverage. Now Medigap is also called supplements. So whether you hear G, N, F, Medigap, or supplement, 21% of people have that type of coverage. Okay, Kaiser found that roughly 17% of people are covered from some kind of retiree plan. So they have Medicare A and B, and then they have a plan from where they retired from that offers a type of Medicare plan that goes with their retiree coverage. Okay, and then lastly, the smallest sliver of this pie, 7% of people are enrolled in just original Medicare. So that would be if you just got the red, white, and blue card and you had nothing else. So now we're down to just 7% of people play by those rules. Okay, so as you saw from my pie chart, right, just that little sliver, 7% of people currently are enrolled in just original Medicare. And why exactly is that? Well, there is two big reasons. So, number one, when you have original Medicare, you have unlimited exposure. So, under Medicare Part B, okay, you have to pay a $257 deductible. Now, Part B covers outpatient services. So, doctor visits, MRIs, CAT scans, blood work in an outpatient setting. That's all covered under Part B. Most cancer treatments are administered in an outpatient setting, whether it be chemo or radiation. So those are covered under Part B. And then things like durable medical equipment, wheelchairs, walkers, oxygen, canes, those types of things are covered under Part B. And you have a $257 deductible. Once you've paid your deductible, Medicare pays 80% of Part B claims, and then you're responsible for 20% under original Medicare. And if you have original Medicare, you're part of the 7% of people, you have unlimited exposure. Medicare charges you 20% to infinity on Part B claims. So if you imagine you had done chemo or radiation, could you imagine what 20% of those bills would look like. So that's the main reason that only 7% of people have original Medicare. There is no cap, there's no ceiling on what you can spend in a year. And then I would say, in addition to that, the other drawback is that you have to buy everything a la carte. So you have your Medicare Part B, and then you would also have to purchase your Part D drug coverage separately, and you'd have to purchase dental, vision, and hearing coverage separately if you wanted it. So the reason I think so few people are on just original Medicare is A, you have unlimited exposure, and then B, you're buying everything a la carte. You don't get anything packaged in under original Medicare. Okay, so it should be pretty clear on why only 7% of people have original Medicare. But why do double the amount of people have Part C than they do Medigap? So let's dive into that. The bottom line is that a lot of people just can't afford Medigap. And when I have seminars or webinars and I have that person that comes out and they demonize Medicare Advantage, what they're overlooking is a lot of people cannot afford a Medigap plan. So you are demonizing Medicare Advantage and you're telling this person they should buy a Medigap plan, but the reality is a lot of people can't even consider Medigap. Because when you have Medigap, you're paying $185 a month for your Medicare Part B, and then you're paying an additional premium to an insurer for your Medigap plan, and then you're paying additional premiums for dental, vision, and drug coverage. So on the surface, yes, Medigap is phenomenal coverage, and I love Medigap. But the reality is, in the world we live in, most people won't even consider Medigap because they don't have $300 to $400 a month to pay for that type of coverage. So if you imagine the person that you told them, hey, you have to pay $350 a month, $185 for your Part B, $130 for your Medigap plan, $20 for your drug plan, and then $20 for your dental plan. And you told that to somebody and they said, well, there's no way, I could never afford that. Well, what are they supposed to do? They can go join the group of people, that 7% that have original Medicare and no supplement, and then they have 20% risk or 20% exposure, okay? Or by default, they could choose a Part C Advantage plan. Because most Part C Advantage plans don't cost any extra money. They just have to pay the $185 a month for Part B. So by default, people are picking Medicare Advantage. They see the price it would cost them to be covered on Medigap. They understand that under original Medicare, they have infinite exposure. So by default, half of the people that we talk to do Medicare Advantage. They never even considered Medigap because they couldn't afford it. So that's why 54% of people have Part C Medicare Advantage and only 21% have Medigap coverage. I do believe that Medigap coverage is amazing. You have no network, you have no prior authorizations, and you have comprehensive coverage across the board. But when I have people come to my meetings or my seminars and they start demonizing Medicare Advantage, they have never thought to themselves, well, can my neighbor actually afford Medigap? Or can my sister that I'm telling, hey, never do Medicare Advantage, can she afford Medigap? Because again, if you don't do Medicare Advantage and you can't afford Medigap, you're going to have original Medicare and you're going to have unlimited exposure. And that's how you end up going bankrupt, is you pay 20% to infinity on a cancer claim. Okay? Whereas on Medicare Advantage, you pay nothing extra and they set a cap, which is called your maximum out of pocket, on what you can pay in a calendar year. So guys, to conclude, more than double the amount of people currently do Part C Medicare Advantage plan than they do Medigap. Only 7% of people are playing by original Medicare's rules where they have infinite exposure. And if you're ever wondering why so many people have Part C Advantage plans, I think a huge part of it is by default, they can't afford Medigap or they don't want to afford Medigap. So by default, they're going with Part C Advantage plans so that they can put a cap on their spending and then they can get all their benefits under one roof. And to be clear, guys, I am in no way advocating to pick a Part C Advantage plan. I am simply explaining why so many people go that route and why it is not good practice to demonize Part C Advantage plans. If you can afford Medigap coverage, that's phenomenal. But if you're demonizing it and you're telling your friends and family members not to get it, take a second and think if they could actually afford the type of coverage that you have. So guys, for questions on Medigap, Medicare Advantage, or Original Medicare, that's what we're here for to help at LMS Insurance Group. So I hope this video was helpful. I'll talk to you next time. Larry Goist, LMS Insurance Group. Thanks for watching.